What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Is It Still Good, the channel where we watch older films and let you know if they still hold up. Today, we're going to get into an all-time classic from 2000, American Psycho. But first, let's try to sell one of my books. And we're back! So for those that don't know, that ad that I always run is for the two books that I've written. They're fantasy fiction. I'm the protagonist in both. They're a little wonky. That being said, I'm struggling to complete the third one currently, but it should be out next year. There we go. So getting on to American Psycho, I've seen this movie several times before. It's iconic. It's a classic film. It's a film that has remained at the forefront of the horror pop culture zeitgeist since its inception in 2000. You know, it's got staying power. This one was directed by Mary Harron, who co-wrote it with Guinevere Turner, who I believe is one of the actresses in the film. So Lily and I just watched this the other night by request, and we had a lot of fun. I do remember this time period where I got to return some videotapes was a good excuse to get out of something that would work in many cases because you would get late fees. And they were a real pain in the ass. Nobody wanted a late fee from a movie rental. It sucked, you know? I've never looked at business cards the same way again. Every time I order my own cards, I think like Patrick Bateman. You know, all the little details, like the rounded corners on mine. You know, gloss on the front, matte on the back. I don't know. I like my business cards. Anyway, Bale's acting like a guy who's like stealing his own scenes. He's in every freaking scene, and he's still like out-acting himself in each scene. His micro expressions are crazy. He's all over the place. I think he's hilarious too. I love the whole daily regiment scene, and although I exercise all the time, I don't look at it that way. I'm just trying to like maintain like my old guy self, that's all. But I do think it's funny, you know, that he's that fanatic about it and narcissistic about his appearance. Yeah, every time I reorder my business cards, I do think of the scene where they're all showing their cards. The homeless guy murder is rough. It's tough to look at. That being said, I believe that's the only murder that may have actually happened. Kind of a theory. I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not. There's a cameo from a really cute pig. I don't know what it means symbolically, but it was cute. Oh, the Huey Lewis speech during one of the murders is, you know, so fun. That's what makes this like a comedy for me. Was that like that scenes like that. Because you have to laugh at it. I mean, he's completely insane. It's horrific, but at the same time, it is hilarious, you know, from like an acting perspective. Like, he's just killing it. I don't know why, but I just get this creepy feeling that this wasn't much of a stretch for Christian Bale. You know, like that clip that came out of him like yelling at somebody on set or whatever.
Kick your fucking ass! I want you off the fucking set, you prick! No, don't just be sorry. Think for one fucking second.
Just kind of reminds me of how he yells at people in this film a couple of times. I don't know. I just saw the similarities between, you know, how he was barking and that clip of him spazzing, and I had to laugh. Yeah, there's no way he faked Paul Allen's voice on the voicemail, on the voice machine. I mean, that wouldn't have matched up. You know, they would be able to tell that, I believe. In court, I don't think that would have held up. Just a hunch. Willem Dafoe was a nice surprise in this. I forgot he was in this. And he adds like a much needed like counterbalance to Patrick Bateman's like unhinged, unchecked kind of corporate evil. So the fact that Willem Dafoe is onto him is like really nice, and the way that he sort of, you know, doesn't buy anything Patrick Bateman says is like a nice counterbalance in this film when you start to feel like, you know, the upper class goes just completely unchecked. We realize that like when one of their own goes missing, that's when the wheels are put into motion. That's when, you know, these detectives are really starting to dig. And Patrick Bateman really didn't cover his tracks all that well, making me think that didn't really happen. I think he just fantasizes about abducting Paul Allen. That's just my theory. Bale's micro expressions are on point. If you really see everything he's going through, especially as he starts to unravel as this movie progresses, it's really impressive. I mean, homie can act. In my opinion, looking back, Christian Bale may be like the new Daniel Day-Lewis in a way, with performances like this under his belt. I mean, he really, really went for it on this one. yeah, I don't even want to repeat some of the stuff he says, especially like when the sexual scenes are going on. But he's so incredibly blunt that it makes it almost a comedy again. It's funny again. It's like the real 50 Shades of Grey, set in the 80s. Yeah, like the first like sex scene, like when he starts like barking commands. That's how I knew this movie meant business. I don't know. I think this is kind of like a funny movie as well. I don't know. I laughed throughout. I do kind of like Phil Collins. In the Air Tonight is a classic song. It's actually very good. And I do actually prefer Phil Collins away from Genesis as I do Peter Gabriel. But that's just because I grew up with my parents listening to that stuff and me being stuck in the car. And that's probably the only reason I know about that. Yeah, like the point at yourself thing, you know, if you take that out of context and put it in a meme, that can mean a lot of things. I've seen it in memes. Self-affirmation, you know, like, go get 'em, Tiger. It's funny how it was adopted in almost a positive way, I guess, that scene. But it definitely stands out as one of like the all-time iconic, memorable scenes in film, I'd say. Dropping the chainsaw to hit the girl is a little bit unbelievable to me. I don't think that actually happened. It would be too difficult to get that right. He's not a professional. It's just, I don't know. That would be a really tough one. And so that's why I think that a lot of these kills are fantasy. There's no way it's 40. And then when they're all stacked up in Paul Allen's place, I mean, yeah, right. Right? So I think all that's fantasy. I think Lily put me onto that, as a matter of fact. So that's a theory. There's an awesome breakup scene in it that I think is hilarious between Bateman and his girlfriend, played by Witherspoon. Really, really fun. But yeah, this is an iconic film, darkly fun, suggested by folks in my Twitch, Trash It Chess on Twitch. Thank you for suggesting American Psycho. And I give this film a 9 out of 10. So that should round out our scary movie segment. I'm going to try to review something funny next, pick up the mood a bit. This month has been a lot of fun, though, watching all these horror films. Lily and I have had a really good time. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Is It Still Good?
Idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction. I simply am not there.